I was homeless. I had a broken down car. I had no money. Didn't have a job actually at the time. I was looking for a job. I had decided to go back to school to get a job, to have a career and have a job and actually do it right this time. And, once again, I had a plan and God took me in the complete opposite direction of where I was going.
Welcome back to another episode of the Journey to Solutions podcast, where we interview people from all walks of life and they share how they've transformed their obstacles into lifelong solutions. The purpose of this podcast is to inform our listeners that there is a life beyond your wildest dreams that resides ahead of you, and that our testimonies are living blueprints to another person's breakthrough. Today, I have the honor and pleasure of interviewing my wife. I remember when this was once a prayer, and today it's answered. And we were talking about that prior, to just sit back and to just remember that, right? And how good God is. This woman is the glue to my life. She is my best friend. She is my greatest supporter. And for you women out there, what makes a great wife is a woman who does not get in the way of the vision that God has instilled upon that man's heart. So just take a second, my love, to just introduce yourself and who it is that you are.
Hello, everyone out there. I'm Shadow Ferrante. I'm the wife of Marco Ferrante, the owner of Journey to Solutions. And who am I? Oh, that's a good question. I am a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a friend, and first and foremost, I like to think of myself as being a servant to the people out there that we serve in this community.
I love that. What does our life look like today? We came on here to inspire our listeners and to share our lives, to step out front and be willing to share what it looks like behind the scenes for a married couple in Christ. What is your life? What does it look like today?
What does life look like today? It's busy. It has a lot more challenges. I can say that I'm a lot more challenged today than I was before I was walking with you in Christ in our marriage. It's fulfilling. We get to do what we love every single day. We get to wake up and go out and help others and bring people to Christ and get people well. And so I think I've told this to you before, like, if I could wake up every day and do what I love, like, how awesome and beautiful would that be? And I feel like that's what we get to do every single day.
What a blessing. And you were saying challenges, right? That we walk together through as a married couple, that you walk through as an individual. What do those challenges look like today?
Sometimes they can be emotional. Sometimes they can be something that you are personally walking through behind the scenes, because you are, our provider. So you go out there every single day and work really hard. And with that, your own challenges come and supporting you through that. That can be a challenge that happens. It could be as little as, the kids having a meltdown or not having the best day, and just taking 20, 30 minutes of a time out to be there for them. It comes in different forms and waves, how our challenges come about with you and I and the family.
Let's share with our listeners what our day-to-day routine looks like, because a lot of times people can see our lives from social media or from the outside, and it looks like rainbows and unicorns, right? But what we want to share is, what does it look like behind the scenes?
Oh my gosh. Well, I definitely do not wake up like this.
Right.
Hair and makeup is not usually a a messy, frizzy hairdo, no makeup, and sweats. And I'm up by 6. And, the day starts with me doing some prayer, first and foremost, trying to take care of myself physically. Um, all the things that us ladies do, the red light therapy, the shake plate, some lemon water. And then I need to focus on helping the kids get out of the door, praying with you, making breakfast, getting lunches ready. Sometimes it's not that smooth. Sometimes I don't get the me time in the morning. Sometimes it's everybody else first. Um, it differs. Not every day is the same. Every day is different.
And you are the epitome of selflessness. You are the epitome of love. When I met you initially, you were that walking example of God's word. And you were the first woman that I ever came in contact with that I didn't fall in love due to a physical relationship. But we got to know each other emotionally, spiritually, and you stimulated me mentally, which was really, really attractive.
Right.
Right. And that's what makes you so different is you have shown me what unconditional love is. Right. Let's share with our listeners, our prayer life. Right. From the very beginning that you and I got together, what did that look like?
So I want to touch a little bit about what you said about how you met me and what was it that attracted you to me. And I want to say that was the same for me because I had been in so many toxic relationships before, so dysfunctional. I really didn't know what healthy looked like. I knew what I wanted it to look like, but I had never experienced it before.
Right.
So I had these standards in my mind, and when I meet somebody, what is it that I would require from them? And that was one of them, that I really wanted a man of God who was firm in his foundation, somebody who was a good listener, somebody who was patient, somebody who was loving, and also who loved my children. So those things, I had a list, and you definitely checked off a lot of those things. And that was the main thing, is that you had an awesome relationship with Christ when I met you. And I think that's one of the first things we talked about. We talked about prayer and, was that going to look like in our relationship. And I think from the beginning, very soon after we were seriously dating, we started praying every single day together. We did not miss a beat. And to this day, I can honestly say we've maybe missed 5 or 6 times not praying together. And if we do miss it in the morning, I'll remind you, or you'll remind me, hey, let's pray together. And that, I think, has really brought us closer, and is made a firm foundation for us from the start, even before we were married.
Because times aren't always rainbows. And when those times hit, what are you going to do? So many men, so many women, they run away. Right? But we know in Christ that everything that we walk through is going to be utilized for his glory at the end of the day.
Right.
Everything that we walk through.
Right.
So when we have that firm foundation with us and Christ in the middle, it doesn't matter what the temporary situations and circumstances are, because we know that it's going to be utilized to strengthen our marriage.
Right. Right.
And walking away isn't an option.
Right.
I have to choose you every single day that I wake up. Let's talk a little bit about those standards, right? For somebody out there who's early on, maybe in recovery, right? Maybe somebody who's looking for a life partner. How have placing standards in your life been pivotal?
So I didn't, backtracking a little bit, I didn't have any, right? So when you don't have any standards, you kind of, I feel, for me personally, I was accepting anything, right? I just wanted to be loved. That was my standard. I wanted to feel loved and be loved. So when I started on my recovery journey, and I start having standards and I start wanting things for myself, I had this list and all these things I wanted on my list, right? Um, like I said, somebody who is spiritually fit, somebody who is physically fit, mentally sound, was a giver, was kind, loving, patient, all these wonderful things. But what I found was that I needed to be those things first in order for me to receive that. Because we can say all day, I want these things, I need these things, but if we're not portraying and projecting those things ourselves, we can't actually want to track that or ask for that. So those were the things that I did. Everything I wanted in you, I did for myself first. And that was loving myself because I never loved myself.
Mhm.
So I did that first. And then I was able to see those things in you and say, okay, I feel that. Okay, yes, he's portraying that. He's projecting that. So for people out there, I make a list, but you do that first.
I like that. Now, how did you begin to love yourself? Because
Oh,
did you always love yourself?
no, my gosh, no, I don't, I can't recall exactly when I realized I didn't have a love for myself or I didn't care about myself very much. Um, I want to say until I got a little bit older, like in my 20s, I started realizing like the choices I was making, the people I was hanging out with. Um, I started thinking about that, like, wow, like that probably wasn't the best decision, or that probably wasn't the best person to pick to be with. I started realizing my mistakes. So I started loving myself once I 100% surrendered to God. And that was back in 2016. I walked into my first Al-Anon meeting and I just surrendered. And I started doing a lot of self-healing. And that's when I started caring about myself because I was tired of living the way that I was living and I wanted to change and do something about it.
And you not being somebody who, so to say, dealt with addiction related to drugs or alcohol, how have some other symptoms manifested themselves in your life?
Good question. So, other ways of, so I want to take away the fact that I never drank or I didn't do drugs. I wasn't addicted to it.
Yeah.
So yes, I did drink, I partied, your typical 21-year-old. I did all those things, but it didn't ever take over my life, so to speak. But what did take over my life were my behaviors, the way that I thought, the way that I perceive things. I was a very angry person. I was a very jealous person. I was very envious of others and their happiness. That's something that would really make me angry. I would see somebody who is genuinely happy and think like, how are they so happy? Like,
Right.
how is that possible? That's not possible because I wake up miserable every single day. So, um, just things like that. I just was walking around just an unhappy, angry, miserable individual.
And how did you get there? What did your childhood, what did it look like?
So my childhood was very chaotic, very traumatizing. I had two parents who came from addiction. So just imagine that for a second. And when I mean addiction, I mean like both parents were heroin addicts. Uh, you know, my parents were never like together. My dad was always going on a run. My mom was a functioning addict, so she was trying to work, keep the house together. Um, no boundaries, um, no rules. It's kind of free for all, do what you want. I mean, by the time I was 5, I was getting up and getting myself ready to school with no parents in the home.
And what is that like, not having stability in your
Oh,
life as a
man.
kid?
I mean, at first it's fun
Yeah.
because you get to do whatever you want. But then you start realizing, like, oh, I need a hot meal.
Yeah.
I want to be tucked into bed at night. Or, you know, I want to connect with somebody. I was always alone. My
Mm.
parents were never, honestly, they weren't really around until I got older. Um, you know, just trying to connect with anything that I could. That was whatever friends I could make, whatever I would call them adventures where my mom would leave and then I would be gone out of the house all day long and I wouldn't come back. And sometimes I'd come back, most of the time, come back to empty home and nobody being there.
And would you say because you didn't have that love and that acceptance inside the house, you began to look for it outside of the
Oh
house?
yeah, absolutely. With um anywhere I could get it, whether it was through friends' parents, whether it was through strangers, right? I remember uh living in this apartment and it was almost like I lived in a little town called Forest Grove and it was a little college town.
Right.
And the apartments we lived in, there were a lot of college kids that lived there. And I remember my mom. Uh, this is how crazy her addiction had become. She had to use, but she felt guilty about leaving us alone. So she went to our neighbor's house. These are three college guys she'd never met before. She didn't know them, and she wanted to use. She wanted to go on a run so bad. She went to these guys and like, here, I'll pay you $100 if you keep an eye on my
Wow.
kids, right? My mom doesn't know these guys. Thankfully, thank God, they were good, solid men
Right.
who did look after us. They did watch over us. They would come over and check on us, see if we had food. Um, I remember one time I cut my foot open and my mom was on a run and we went to them and they ended up taking me to the emergency room. So you know, I always feel, and I know for a fact, God was always looking over me. He always covered me through people, through places or things. He just always had this covering over me, was always protecting me no matter what was going on in my life.
Being a parent now and looking in retrospect, right, as you were a kid, how did your parents' relationship influence the people that you began to choose in the way that you then parented your kids?
Oh, wow, that's good. Oh, so because of the way my parents were in their relationship was, like I said, I don't I know my parents were married and they were together, but I don't ever remember my dad being the man of the house or being a part of the home. He was either in jail
Mm.
or out on a run, and my mom she was the provider.
Right.
She took care of things. She put a roof over her head. She put food on the table. So for me, that I want to say made me like, that's what I'm going to be when I grow up. I'm going to be a single mom who's going to provide and take care of the home.
And are there any other single mothers in the family?
Just no. At this time, no.
At this
No.
time, no.
Not that time when I was growing up. No. Everybody was married. It was very, everybody had kids, married, stayed together. Um, I don't, we lived in Oregon. My family lived in California. So I don't know if they were aware really what the full details of
Right.
what my mom was going through. So she basically was a single
Yeah.
mom. My dad was never around. She took care of everything. So how did that uh, form me as a
Yeah.
woman? It just, in my mind, I thought the woman takes care of everything.
Yeah.
The man doesn't do anything. And not in a bad way. That's just not
Yeah.
what I was taught. And how my parents, the way they parented me, how it formed me, I became a helicopter mother. I became overprotective. I made my kids extremely codependent on me because I wanted to shelter them. I wanted to cover them so badly because of the stuff that I went through as a kid, that I was going to do anything and everything for them. They were going to have everything. They were never going to be without. They were going to never have to question if I love them. So it was negative and positive.
It was your way of showing love.
Yes.
Your way
Yes.
of showing love.
I kind of smothered my kids, but at the same time, I was very strict with them. Very strict. I had a lot of rules.
So before you and I got together, for our listeners, how many kids did you have altogether?
So 6.
6 kids altogether.
5 boys, 1 girl.
And Dee Dee,
And
my
my
mother-in-law,
mom. Yep.
were living with you as well. How did that come about? 6 kids. Let's share that.
Okay. So I'll make it quick and short and sweet. So I got pregnant. The first time I got pregnant, I was 18 and I had my first child. That's William. I did not want to be pregnant. I was very scared of what that was going to be. Right. But I had him, and I honestly, truly, that was the first time when William was born, that was the first time I felt real, genuine love, like melting your heart love, like a warm feeling, like, wow, this person loves me and cares about me no matter what. That was the first time I felt actual love from another person. And then 2 years later, I leave William's dad because, of course, I am like, I feel like I had a big fat sticker on my head that said, anybody who's an addict and wants to treat me bad and not emotional available, I'm your girl. That's how it felt. I felt I was doing that all the time.
Marked.
Yes, totally. Like, hi, hello, I'm here to save you. So William's dad, so I have William 19. We separate because of his addiction. You know, I'm wanting this fantasy of being married, being a mom, settling down, but I'm picking men who are not available, who are not capable of doing that. But I don't know that at that time. And then I meet Vincent's dad, my second partner. We get together, of course, chaos, addiction, drinking, craziness. We have a baby. That lasted for about 8 months because, again, I want this picturesque type of life in my brain, but it's not physically happening, right? So he's not.
Did you not see that these people didn't have the capability to provide that life?
No, because you have to remember when you want to be loved and you don't know what real love looks like, you will take anything. So of course it's like a love bomb the first 6 months, right? Oh my God, you're beautiful, you're wonderful, you're great, you're this, you're that. And then, as we know, reality sets in and true colors come out. And then you're not so great, and then you're not so beautiful, and then you're this, that, and the other thing, and you're ruining my life, right? So my problem was I wanted to fix, and I can fix you. And I can mend you and I can heal you and I can cure you of your addiction and your drinking and your drugging. And if I just do A, B, and C, you're going to want to be with me. But unfortunately in that, I produced children in that, not thinking like this is probably not the best idea, right? So I have Vincent. 8 months later, I leave his father, of course, because of he's addicted to drugs and alcohol, and it's chaos. It's crazy. I don't want to be in that. And so I leave, and then, it's like, okay, I'm going to get my life together. Yeah. I'm going to make a go of this. And I did. I actually did for a while. I want to say for like 6 years. I did good. I got a good serving job in Laguna. I got a car, I got an apartment, I focused on my kids. And then, that unhealed part of you, if you don't heal that brokenness in you, it will go away for a little bit, but it always comes back to haunt you. And I think that's what happened. I was doing so well. And on the outside, right? Job,
at
car.
This time, you didn't really have a intimate relationship with God, Al-Anon, stuff like that.
No. No. I had religion, but I didn't have a relationship with God. So, on the outside, I'm doing great. I got a great job. I got friends. My kids are taken care of. My bills are paid. I'm not depending on anybody. I'm handling things by
Mm.
myself. And then of what is missing? I'm lonely.
Yeah.
I get bored. I want somebody again to love me,
Yeah.
right? Because I have not yet learned to love myself yet.
Right.
So, my last my baby's father's father, a same thing. We meet at a bar, crazy chaos, get again the same thing over and over, just with another person.
Mm.
And in that, I get pregnant with my third child, Finn. And but this time it was a little different because I knew that I've to think I finally realized, okay, I made another mistake. I got
Yeah.
pregnant with somebody who was not available
Right.
to be a father, to be anything. And I knew that. And I actually make the choice to be like, look, I'm going to have this baby with or without you. You can come along or not come along, but I'm having this child. And we actually decided that I was going to have the baby. I would keep him in the loop, how the baby was doing, and he wanted no part of it. And I was like, cool, great. Because, we shouldn't be together anyways. But then I want to say like 6 months later, I think he felt guilty and he came around and was like, when I think about the choices I was making, I think about like, why didn't anybody stop me?
Yeah.
Why didn't anybody step into my life and be
Yeah.
like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Right?
No accountability.
None.
Yeah.
Just doing whatever.
Yeah.
So I want to say 5-6 months later, he's like, no, I want to, let's make a go of this. That's what it was.
Yeah. That was the answer.
That was the answer. Not I love you. Not like, let's build a family. It was like, let's see if this works. Literally, like a business deal.
Yeah.
Let's see if this works. So we do that. And, of course, craziness, chaos, addiction, drinking, drugging, parties, more kids are produced out of that, right? God, I want to say that was my worst time in my life because I started to become aware of myself and my actions and my behaviors and my life.
You felt like you were being torn like the inside out. Like now I know better, but I'm still continuously partaking in these actions.
Yep. And I didn't know how to get out.
You had nobody that was willing to show you solutions, mentors,
nothing.
guides.
It was all based on religion.
Yeah.
Like because we got married because we thought that would be the right thing to do. Huge mistake. And where I come from or how I was taught, even though my mom got divorced from my dad, you stick it out. You stick it out tough until the end, no matter what. But what they don't tell you is that.
And these are people telling you to stick it out, but they haven't stuck it out.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But I think that comes from our own trauma, right?
Yeah.
We didn't do it, but you should because it'd probably be better for you, right?
Yeah.
But so what I get stuck on is that I'm doing it for my kids because I did want out. I wanted out after I had my daughter, Alora. I wanted out. I was done because his addiction had gotten so crazy and so out of control. I wanted to be done. And I remember going to my family and telling them to help me and crying to them. I pretty much pleading to them to help me get out of this marriage. And I don't blame them at the time. I don't blame them for what they told me. I think that's just, they probably were thinking like, dude, how are you going to take care of 5 kids on your own?
Like, and you were probably thinking that yourself.
Honestly, you want me to be honest with you, babe? I didn't care. I was so done and so much pain. I wanted to be out. I just wanted to be done. I wanted to what is it? The fight or flight. Yeah. The fight and the flight was an overdrive, and I wanted to be done. I honestly didn't care how it was going to happen.
What was the foundation in that marriage? Like, what was the foundation? What was it like built on?
Nothing. on a hope and a dream, and toss it up and see where it lands. Literally, there was nothing. We didn't love each other. We're both Catholic, right? So again, we had religion, and that's what we were basing it on. And you can't base a marriage off religion. There's no foundation there. It's only go to church, your marriage will be better. Do the counseling marriage class, it will be better. Not realizing that we both needed to have a relationship with Christ, which we didn't. And we needed to have our own foundation about ourselves, which we didn't, because he was in full-blown addiction and I was, the codependent, wanting everything, trying to hold this nothing together. It was like quicksand falling through my hands. There was no way to keep it together. And so we produced 4 children out of that marriage. And then that's in 2016, he got sober, or a year before that, he gets sober, and basically he gave me an ultimatum, like, you get help or this marriage is over. And at that time, at that moment, it felt like, even though I wanted out, I circled back to around like,
maybe my family is right. Maybe I should stay around.
Right. And what am I going to do?
Yeah.
How am I going to take care of all these kids? Because by that time we had another child. So that
fear starts kicking in. What am I going to do? How am I going to sustain my life? How am I going to sustain the kid's life?
Right. So I think, okay, maybe I'll just stick it out. And so somewhere in that we'll find our relationship, which was so nuts. But so in 2016, I'm given an ultimatum to go get help, or the marriage is over. And I just thought, like, okay, what is he talking about? What does he mean? Why do I need help? But I did it because I wanted to save my children. And
if that's what your outer life looks like, I have to play a part in some of it. Right. And until we take radical responsibility and honesty for our actions and the part that we play, there's no way to walk into real solutions. So at this point, you're identifying, okay, you know what? All of this is happening. I have to see that I'm the problem.
But I didn't at that moment. Not yet. I didn't see I was the problem yet. I was just hanging on to strings. Yeah. Straws, whatever you want to call it. I was hanging on to nothing, pretty much. But I thought, like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm going to go get help. And when I get help, I'm going to wake up and poof, it's going to be fixed. Yeah. No, it actually got worse. So that was 2016. And, go get help. The marriage is over. I panic. I am told to go to an Al-Anon meeting. I had tried Al-Anon years before, and I thought they were all crazy and insane, and shouldn't be sitting in these rooms. There's something wrong with all you people.
You were seeing the differences, none of the similarities.
Oh gosh, no, not at all. I walked out. I think I tried to do 5 Al-Anon meetings.
What's up with these whack jobs?
Yeah, seriously, like, oh, these people are nuts. So I'm like, who thought this was a good idea? But so in 2016, I finally go to an Al-Anon meeting. And I walk into that Al-Anon meeting. It was in Yorba Linda, and that meeting changed my life. It changed my life. I don't know. It was God, 100%. I was willing to surrender and let go and just be who I was, which was a total hot mess.
People ask me, Marco, how is it that you're sitting in this chair today? And number one, my relationship with Christ over all things, but it was a piece of advice that I received. And that piece of advice was, Marco, you got to be humble enough to know that you don't know everything, and then wise enough to identify what you don't know. Yeah. I don't know. You do know. Please show me. And it sounds like you had a very similar
I did. I walked in there, and somebody told me to share, and I shared. And I always talk about this, like, my share. I don't think I shared. I think I bubbled and shared is what ended up happening. I just was saying everything out loud, and I'm this, I'm that, and this is happening, and I'll just cry. And it was just so relieving to be able to do that. And this is not like just like you would, you and I
Yeah.
talking. It was in front of like 50 people. I did this, and I would never in my life tell anybody what was happening behind the scenes. Never.
That's why this is huge.
Never.
For us to be able to step out today and be able to share that story with other people. I come from a strong Sicilian family. You come from a strong Catholic family, and everything that we walked through was swept under the rug. So we actually had to reprogram ourselves in our marriage to start to disclose those things to one another to be able to heal through that.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, and that was the wild thing is that I was not sharing my life with anybody. That's 40 years of not sharing your life with somebody. And then I decided to share it with 50 people out loud, everything ugly and gross about me, which was so crazy now that I go back and think about it. So that day, I'll never forget it. It was 2 days before Christmas, 2016. I had a woman come up to me who ended up being my sponsor, and I love her because the first thing she said to me was like, "Oh my gosh, your share was amazing. It was great." She gave me a hug, but then she reminded me, she goes, "But it's not all about you."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, wow. Okay."
Right.
But I needed that at that time. I needed somebody to be honest with me. Nobody was ever honest with me.
Information, it flows two ways. Either through our own experience or through the experience of other people around us.
Yeah.
How has a sponsor played a pivotal role in your life? Because as we were talking about earlier, you didn't have that person to be able to help guide you or give you direction. Now you come in contact with a sponsor, and that sponsor is getting honest with you and telling you it's not, hey, look, boo, it ain't all about you no more. It ain't all about
Literally,
you.
that's what she told me. So, to become my sponsor, that, you know how you're supposed to ask somebody she's like, "I'll be your sponsor."
Yeah.
I was like, "Okay, you're going to be my sponsor." But like I said, I needed somebody like her. She was very straightforward. She didn't mix words. She was very honest with me, and she didn't care if she hurt my feelings. And I appreciated that about her.
What was it like now, walking through those steps? But now you're in the program, right? Your marriage is still not intact, right? You're still walking through that behind the scenes. You have these beautiful, beautiful children in your life that you brought into this world. How are you balancing all this stuff?
I'm not. It's all going to, you know what? But so this is what happens. So I go to Al-Anon, and 2 weeks later, God just, he was in that room that day, and he just transformed me. I can't explain it. It's what they call a spiritual awakening. Literally happened to me physically, and it happened to me mentally, and I'll explain that. So I have this awesome, beautiful experience. I go home happy, and it's so great. And my ex-husband at the time was like, "Yeah, right. That didn't happen."
You had a divine encounter.
I did. 100%. 100%. And he's like, "Yeah, right. That didn't happen." I'm like, "I don't care. Like, this is happening." So I kept going back, and my sponsor, who was just on me and amazing, "Make sure you're here." She made me do 90 meetings in 90 days, not just Al-Anon, but she had
you
me
gave yourself to the process.
Yes, I did not question anything. She also made me do AA meetings, which was amazing.
You got to see what it was like
on the other
side and how our mind works. It gives you a deeper understanding, which allows you then to have compassion.
Yeah, and what you go through, right? So 2 weeks later, I have this dream. And in my dream, I'm at a church, and I'm standing in the back like I'm getting married, and I'm getting ready to walk down the aisle. I'm in this beautiful white gown, but I'm so nervous, and I'm stressed, and I don't want to do this. I don't want to walk down the aisle, and I'm afraid. And so I look over my left shoulder, and I see Jesus standing right next to me, and he goes, "Are you ready?" And I go, "No, I'm not ready. I'm scared. I'm nervous." He goes, "You're going to be okay. We're going to do this together." And he grabs my hand, and we walk down the aisle to the altar. And I'll never forget that dream. And that's when I knew that's when my relationship with Christ started. And I knew he was real, and I knew he was watching over me, and I did everything he told me to do. And that was, he literally looked at me and said, do everything I tell you to do, don't question it. And I did. And that's how it was. I went to Al-Anon. I was with my sponsor, but at home, life was insane.
Yeah.
It was crazy. It was falling apart. It was nuts.
But you had this peace.
And I had this peace that, like you say, surpasses all understanding of anything that I know.
No matter what we're going through, no matter what we're encountering, the peace of knowing that God is intervening on our behalf.
100%. And that was the first time in my life in 40 years that I had real peace.
Yeah.
It was wild. It was like a high. It was a supernatural high. I didn't want it to go away.
Those are the blessings.
Oh my gosh.
I was talking with my mentor yesterday, and he goes, Marco, the blessings are the internal peace.
Mm-hmm.
He said, Marco, the blessings are the joy.
Yep.
That nobody can take for us.
Nope.
Why? Because it was given to us by the creator of heaven and earth.
Yep.
And all we had to do was submit and surrender to the process. And when we did, the right people started coming into our life. Now we started to attract that life that we always actually wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But why did we do the things that we didn't want to do even when we didn't want to do them?
Right? So crazy.
Tell people, like, I knew that it wasn't right to drive intoxicated. You know, I knew it wasn't right to cheat. I knew these things, but knowing is not enough.
Right.
And even though I knew, I kept doing it.
Right.
But then when I accepted Christ into my heart, if I even thought about it, conviction set in.
Right.
You know, God keeps us on this straight and narrow path. And my Father loves me. He loves me so much that I feel that knife when it gets close to my neck. Mm-hmm. And he keeps me in bounds because a father corrects a son that he loves. A father corrects a daughter that he loves. Mm-hmm. And that's the life that we have today.
Yep.
But it started with surrender
mm-hmm.
and being willing to take guidance and direction from another person.
Yep.
Because our thinking got us in that chaos.
That's right.
It got us into those environments. It got us into those relationships. Mm-hmm. And there was no way for our thinking to get us to solution.
Right.
So we needed something outside of us. So now you're going to Al-Anon. Mm-hmm. You're working your steps. You're ingrained into the process. You now have accountability partners around you.
Life is chaotic and crazy.
Life is getting lifey,
yep.
right? Because we reap what we sow. So
yep.
just because we get sober
doesn't mean it gets easier.
Stops.
It actually gets harder.
Poof. Because now we're aware.
Yep.
The scales are taken off.
Yep.
Now we can see, oh my God, the lights are on and the room is filthy. Now I got to start picking up those plates off the floor. Now I got to start to clean them. Now I got to put them right in the cabinets. Mm-hmm. Right. So how are you putting these pieces together now?
Oh my gosh. So I want to say that marriage after I got to Al-Anon only lasted less than a year, because I had become this new changed person. He didn't believe it. He wasn't convinced. And honestly, that I wasn't trying to convince mm-hmm. him. It was more like I was doing it for myself at this point. And in all of that, I realized like how I played a part, right? The choices that I made and how I started discovering myself. I started loving myself again, or not again, for the first time. Yeah. So all these things were happening. Like this amazing transformation was happening in me. But like I said, house was crazy. So we decide to divorce, and that was at the end of 2016. And you know, I'm left with absolutely nothing.
So let me ask you a question. So now there's 6 kids. Mm-hmm. There's your mother. Mm-hmm. And where is he at this point?
He leaves. He's done. He's checked out. He leaves. Uh, at that time, we were living in Eastville, and I had a broken down van, and I decided that I was going to transfer the kids from Eastville all the way back to Yorba Linda every day, back and forth, until I could make my way back to Yorba Linda to my family, because I wanted them, because everything was so crazy. I wanted them to have some type of stability, and that was their only stability, was school and their friends. So I did that for a year. I finally was able to get somewhat of my life together and make it back out to Yorba Linda. Yeah, and it was baby steps. It was baby steps. I'm not gonna lie that I tripped up a couple of times.
You were actually at one point homeless.
Yes.
Now you got 6 kids. You're taking care of your mother, right? There's no man in the picture that's taking care of you.
No.
Right? You could either go back into another unhealthy relationship and have a man give you some money, take care of you like that, or you're going to lean into your relationship with Christ, lean into the program, and find a way.
And that's what I did. And that was all God.
Yeah.
Because I was homeless. I was homeless with all the kids. We ended up living with a friend, which was.
And where the fathers at this time?
So the 2 older boys are older. So they're, William's out of high school. So he's kind of doing his own thing. Vincent's almost out of high school. So I really just looking after the last 4. Their dad was just he just took a hiatus for about a year and a half. I don't know where he went. And so, yeah, I was just doing it on my own, and just really, really, like, if your life has completely fallen apart, and I mean, like, to nothing, literally to nothing, but you still have joy and you still have happiness in the morning, that's God.
Yeah.
100%. There's no other explanation for it. Because I was homeless. I had a broken down car. I had no money. Didn't have a job, actually, at the time. I was looking for a job. I had decided to go back to school to get a job, to have a career and have a job and actually do it right this time. And, once again, I had a plan, and God took me in the complete opposite direction of where I was going.
Let's talk a little bit about how we met.
Okay.
And what it's like being married to a recovered alcoholic, a pastor, a business owner. Were you looking for me?
No. Oh my gosh, no. I had it's another story, but that trip up I was talking about.
Yeah.
Really, that was like a Mack truck hit me, and that's when I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm done trying to have a relationship. I'm done trying to do me.
Yeah.
I am doing you, God. Just like, let me follow you. I'll do what you say. Lead me where you're gonna lead me. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm on the straight and narrow.
Yeah.
And I wasn't. I had given that up. I had realized my picker was bad, and that was a part of me I really needed to fix, and I didn't know how I was going to do that, so I gave that up, and I just told God. I remember telling him, God, I just want to focus on my kids, and I want to focus on my career, and I want to be a good mom. But I've I threw you in,
Yeah.
not knowing I was throwing you in that, and and said, but if you decide there is a man out there for me who wants to help me raise these beautiful children, I'm open, but I'm cool if there's not. I was honestly okay with being alone for the rest of my life. I was good.
Outside of my beautiful, dreamy green eyes, right? What was it that was about me that you fell in love with?
Your dreamy green eyes. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I want to say, like you said before, we started off as friends. We were not like, ooh, who's that? Who's
Yeah.
that cute guy over there? Let me go talk to him. It was more of a friendship. Like I want to say like a year friendship.
Yeah.
We saw each other here and there and see how each other was doing. And again, you were intellectually stimulating. You didn't um give me the same BS that every guy had given me. You were actually interested in what was going on with me.
And as our relationship progressed over time, right, we did counseling in the beginning as well
Mhm.
because we knew what we wanted,
Right.
right? It was the same thing with me. I wasn't, so to say, looking for that woman in my life. I was just looking to stay and get right with God, walk
Right.
according to his plan and what he brought within my path. I
Right.
was open and I was receptive to,
Yeah.
right? So what
Mm.
did that picture look like as we began to walk together and going through counseling with one another from your perspective? Because I'm no easy individual to put up with. I'll be the first one to say it. But I found a woman who was willing to invest into me even
Mhm.
through those difficult times. That woman to pray for me through those difficult times. That woman to give me affirmation through those difficult times. When
Mhm.
she saw a crack in my armor, she didn't expose the crack in my armor.
Mhm.
What she did was she covered the crack in
Mhm.
my armor.
Right.
So what did that look like for you through your eyes?
So I honestly will say when God, because he did pick you for me. I didn't pick you. He definitely picked you for me. And what I mean by that is that when I wasn't looking for a partner and then you showed up, and you showed up in a very casual, peaceful way, right? You just kind of floated
Mm.
into my life, and through a friendship started a romance and a connection with each
Yeah.
other. But through that, we were both we were on level 1 with each other. You were just starting over again. I was starting over again. There was no expectations. You know, you weren't who you were today when I met you. I wasn't who I was today when you met me. So I think it was this even playing field for us. Even though I knew you had come from addiction, we didn't go through addiction
Right.
together, right? So we got very blessed in that way where we met each other at healing
Yeah.
moments in our lives, right? Not fully healed, but we had some
I wanted to
recovery.
know what you wanted in life, right?
Right.
I wanted to ask you those in-depth,
Mhm.
intimate questions to really see if you were right with God.
Yeah.
Right? I wasn't interested in what was going on physically, truthfully, right?
Mhm.
I didn't care what your living situation looked like.
Right.
I needed to know that this woman who was standing in front of me can walk through life with me through the trenches.
Right. And the same for me. I wasn't going to be afraid to ask you hard questions. I just put it out all on the table. Look, I've got 6 kids, 3 baby daddies. I'm
God
taking
knew what he needed to bring in my life to keep me in line.
and look, I don't I don't want to, ladies out there, if you have children, don't ever feel that you're not worthy of love, or because you have kids with different babies' dads. That's a stigma, that's a shame that society puts on us, and it shouldn't be like that. It's the same thing with addiction,
Mm.
right? There should be no shame and no stigma to that. I don't like that. We're all deserving of love as long as we're doing it in the right
Right.
way, right? And for the right reasons, with good
Mm.
intentions, right? And so my
Yeah.
ladies with kids, don't give up.
And vice versa for you men out there who step into a relationship with a woman who has kids or a woman who has their mother that's staying with them. You don't just marry the woman, you marry the entire family.
Yeah.
And that was probably one of the biggest challenges that I endured. You know, my daughter that calls me bonus dad today, that wasn't always the story.
No.
My mother-in-law, when I had gotten incarcerated in the midst of recovery, was the first one there to support me through all of it. That didn't start like that.
No.
You actually told me, right? Like, my mother wants no part of this. And what did I say? God's got us.
Yeah.
If it's God's will, he gonna pay the bill. He's gonna
Yep.
take care of all of it.
Yeah.
Alora, you remember when you and I, when we would go out on dates? I'll never forget over there at the Denny's when we were sitting down and she was yelling up a storm. Don't touch my mother's hand. Don't hold my mother's hand. Every time we hugged, she would always get in the middle of us. And today, I've had the pleasure and honor of leading that beautiful baby girl to Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the relationship we now share today.
Yeah.
We pray together.
Mm-hmm.
She helped heal that part of me as well.
Right.
And I'm so grateful for all of it. I'll never forget, I woke up one morning, and I tell this story all the time. And it was like a 12-gauge shotgun blew me back and hit me in my chest. And God said to me, he said, you're not only marrying her, you're marrying the entire family.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the way my God talks to me. He says, look, you guide those children astray. It's just as good as tying a noose around your neck and throwing yourself into the ocean. Those kids are going to follow every step you take and follow every word you speak.
Yep.
And that's when integrity, like real integrity, being integrated from the inside out, really started playing a pivotal part in my life.
Right.
Because I can't be this person behind the scenes and project this other person in front of the scenes, because now I got kids that are walking and looking. So it was like a really heavy responsibility, but God gave me comfort through all of it. He just said, stay close to me, walk with me, walk in my path, and I'll straighten out your ways. When we first got together, let's talk a little bit about that, right? We were living in a 2-bedroom apartment. Yep. And there was 9 of us inside there.
Yep. We were all squeezed in there comfortably.
But there was so much joy when we were in there.
Yeah.
Right? You remember me and you would sleep on that one side of the couch. Alora was on the other side of the couch.
Yeah.
We had Finn, we had Kieran, and we had Declan in the middle of the couch with that hole behind us in the wall. But none of it even existed. None of it existed.
No.
There was so much joy there, like it didn't mean anything.
Yeah.
And that's why God has provided the way that he has provided in our lives, because he's been the foundation. And man, there's been challenges. To say that there hasn't been challenges, that's a complete, lie. When I had 2.5 years sober, you remember that when we were in my apartment and all the kids were there, we were eating some lo mein, some Chinese food. And Laura was like, I want some ice cream and anything for that girl, anything. I was like, all right, Willie, the oldest one, let's go grab some ice cream. And I never wanted these kids to see me in that light. And I just got in the new car, and I didn't have the front license plate on because I didn't like the way it looked. And I see those red and blue lights behind me. And I'm like, I'm not tripping. I'm a productive member of society today and all of that. Yep. And they ran my name, and they said, Mr. Ferrante, you got a warrant for your arrest out in L.A. I said, nah. I said, you got the wrong guy. They said, nope. And they even looked it up. Probation, passing drug tests, everything. And he said, we got to take you in. And they took me in. And like this, right? At this time, right?
We're
rocking.
We're rocking.
We're rocking. We're
Along.
rolling, right?
Yep.
I got the business, right? We're raising the kids. Life is like ideally perfect from the outside.
Yeah.
Right. Ideal. And they take me.
I would say it was ideally perfect inside too. We had done a lot of work with each other before we even got married.
For sure.
Right.
That was everything. That was the foundation of our entire life. You're right with God. It wasn't even really like, look, I teach a class on marriage. The one thing I don't talk about is marriage, because marriage is all about you having your relationship with Christ and me having my relationship with Christ. And then we could come together equally yoked. If we're not equally yoked, you can't mix salt water with fresh water. It just doesn't mix together. Right. You were fresh water. I was still a little salt water. And then you made me you made me better. But
thanks, babe.
But now I got 2.5 years into my walk, almost 3 years. And Willie got to see me, right, get cuffed up, and they took me down to downtown L.A., and now I got 8 years hanging over my head.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Right, for an assault with a great bodily injury that happened while I was incarcerated the last time around. But because COVID was going on, they didn't pick up the case. Now I'm down there with $150,000 bail, but I got God, and I got my ride or die partner that's side by side with me, right? So I wasn't tripping because I was living the life that Jesus died for me to live at that point.
Right.
And I called you up and I said, babe, bail me out. Not even like a bat of the eye. Like, she wasn't even tripping. She wasn't even shook. I got you. I'll be right there. You bail me out. What was that like? Because now we ended up walking through that for about a year and a half, fighting that case.
Yeah.
What was that like for you as we're fighting that case, as I got incarcerated? Life just stops like this.
Stressful. It was stressful. I think because of all my chaos and trauma in my life, not talking
Yeah.
about stuff, I just know how to keep it in and walk through it. Um, it was very
Yeah, you were a
stressful.
soldier through that, like a straight soldier. Prayer, 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 prayer,
A lot
prayer.
of prayer.
We were going down to San Fernando court once a month.
Once a month. Yeah.
Fighting through that while nobody else had any idea,
What was
running the
going
business,
on?
right? Showing up for meetings, having to raise the kids.
It was stressful. It was
Yeah.
stressful, but I think we were in such a good place with each other because we had done the counseling. We were so good at communicating with each other and talking things out with each other. We had non-negotiables with each other. Like you said, we choose each other every single day. So I think those played such a huge role in how we got through that and where we were at mentally, spiritually with each other was huge.
Yeah. And we finally came to the crossroad where we were fighting that case for like a year and a half together. And we get inside there, and they switched up the judge that day.
Oh, that was scary.
Remember? And the prosecutor's office was going to bat for us. Like, I ended up getting the LORs, letters of recommendation, sent in, right? I showed them all the bills and everything, running the business. And they went to bat for us.
Yeah.
And the judge was like, nah, you see this guy's record?
I remember.
They wanted to give me 6 years with a strike right there. You remember?
Yep. I was like, it was so crazy. I thought, honestly, I didn't think you were going to go. And
Yeah.
I didn't. I thought, nope, God's got us. God's going to cover us. It's going to be fine.
Yeah.
This is just something we're walking through.
Yeah.
But then when she got up and said she was going to give you 6 years, for a split second in my brain, I thought, what am I going to tell everybody if he's gone for
I'm with
for
Daddy.
6 years?
You remember what I told the kids? I'm with my father gathering golden treasure.
Oh my gosh.
And I was.
Yeah.
I was gathering.
That was hard. That was hard not telling the kids.
Yeah.
Then
they ended up giving me a year.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We had the pause for about 30, 40 minutes in the middle of the court session. And we talked about it, and we're like, this is the best thing they have on the table. And we said, hey, can you warn us 2 months so we can make sure that our home life is prepared accordingly and the business is ran accordingly? That was in January. And I turned myself in March. And I'll never forget that morning, right? I woke up, had a nice fresh white tee on, nice pair of shorts, nice Air Forces. And I was going in there on a mission for the Lord. And we talked about that. We knew that. It was as clear as day.
Right.
And we walk into the courtroom. I'm handcuffed, and they open up the door, and I turn around, and I blow you a kiss, and I walk through those doors, and it shuts behind me.
It didn't seem real. Did not seem real. Like I said, I didn't think it was gonna happen. I thought we're gonna get off, and we were gonna continue our amazing, wonderful life. Because at that time, it was nice. It was comfortable. It was amazing.
It was bubbly. It was.
We were when the kids would be with their dad, we were going on our little weekend vacations and having alone time, and life. It was.
And even while I was
nice
gone,
at that time.
Our relationship, it was so magical. And this is when I really, really realized what rest in Christ meant. More happened in that time frame than ever happened with us moving around. Our relationship grew so close. So we woke up every single morning. And it was crazy because even the homies in the dorm knew New York was going to wake up. He was going to get on the phone with his wife, and he was going to be praying with her. They knew in the dorm.
Yeah.
You remember how cool it was that I would call you up, and there was people in there who weren't well off, and they had no food, and I'd be like, babe, do me a favor, order order a package.
Yeah.
For the guy on 36C. And out of nowhere, they would call up and they'd be like, 36C, you got a package. Yeah. And it brought so much joy to my heart. And they had no idea. They thought maybe it was their girlfriend out there getting them something, and Our relationship grew so close through that time, but that's only something God can do.
100%.
I knew what it meant not to be together in the flesh, but to be together in the spirit.
Yes. Yes. No, you definitely, I mean, not, and you were, that had to happen.
Yeah.
Like you going away had to happen for lots of reasons, for us, for you, for the whole,
God still had to work on me.
yeah, how it all has come together and where we're at right now today.
He revealed to me, he said to me, he goes, look, we'll see if this relationship is really rooted in me. We'll see if this relationship is really rooted in me. That was the first time Alora said, I love you to me.
Yep.
The conversations with the boys started becoming real, more in depth. And they thought that I was with my father in Italy.
Yeah.
Right. Gathering golden treasure, you know? And it's funny because Alora being Alora, I'm calling you up at night and she picked up the phone.
Oh my gosh. That was the worst. That was the worst because we were trying to keep it a secret from the kids. We didn't want them to, I didn't want them to worry and stress about it. But, you know, of course, you go back and think about it. We probably should have told them. But, you know, we didn't want them to know. And she picked up the phone and you were calling. She goes, why is it that's the recording? What is that recording? And now eventually, you know, they figured it out. But, everything comes to light.
Yeah, always. Whatever's hidden and concealed will always come to light.
Always comes
and I just
to
want to
light.
share with the listeners how amazing my wife is. While I was away, we moved from that 2-bedroom apartment to a 4-bedroom house in Yorba Linda at that time. And you were the one that moved us.
Oh my gosh.
You were the one that moved us. You went to grab all my stuff, right? All my color coordinated tees and my clothes and my tracksuits and my shoes. And you moved all of it out of my apartment.
Happily.
And when I came out to not a house. I came to a home. And I'll never forget when I got released. And I called your phone. Laura picked up. And she said, Marco. And she started breaking down crying. I said, I'm on my way home. You came to pick me up. And I was celebrated. You know, I was celebrated. And that's so powerful because God has done such an incredible work in our lives today. Like, just this simple podcast is an answered prayer today, you know?
Right.
And we can forget about that at times.
Yep.
You know, but it's so important to always remind ourselves, be careful what you pray for because you will get it. God is so real. Yeah. God is in the business of doing miracles just as much today as he was 2,000 years ago.
Yep.
Right.
That's so true. You write those dreams, those prayers down because you're right. We were talking about this 6 years ago.
Yeah. This entire life that we have today.
Yep.
We were talking about it behind the scenes. We were talking
about
the white. We were talking about the white fence. We were talking about the backyard.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking about having that outdoor sitting area. We were talking about the kids all having their individual rooms.
Yeah.
This was when we had a 2-bedroom apartment with 9 of us inside there.
Yeah. People
would have thought that we were delusional, but nobody else had to believe it. And we didn't really share it with anybody. We kept it between us, between Christ, because we knew
at times your dreams and your vision was so big. At times I think I told you a couple times like, okay, I don't know about that, but we'll see what happens. Yeah. But I believed everything that you were saying because I could see that you could see that. You had vision, and I would always like, oh God, I want to see it. You know, I want to see it too, but that's just not how it works sometimes.
Right. Let's share with the viewers today. I want you to share what our life looks like internally, externally, to give them a real picture. An individual who had 25 years hanging over his head in prison, a single mother with 6 kids, homeless, have come together through Christ. Through Christ.
Yep.
Share what our life now looks like today.
Today, we have definitely been through some challenges, ups and downs, but today life is amazing, but it's not perfect. And I don't want anybody to think that it's perfect or it's everything's 100 every single day, because it's not. The reality is that there are days where, you know, I'm in my sweats all day, right? Or I'm running around all day, or we don't get date night.
We'll talk about that afterwards.
We'll talk about that later. You know, it's true. Like, you know, date night, or, you know, we don't have the life that we had before you went in. It definitely was. I think it was God was giving us that time, honestly and truly, because he knew what was gonna come. Right. So I think we were able to have that luxury time together with and without the kids. And now it's like, you know, our feet are to the pedal. You know, we're on the ground doing God's work. And that can look like you just got back from going back east to Maryland, right? I think that's the first trip we did without each other. You were gone for 7 days, right? So it can look like that. It can look like where I'm taking on all the kid stuff all day long, and you're out serving and helping others, right? And like I said, it could be where I think today we don't spend as much time together, but we're together, if that makes sense.
Because of that relationship that was established in the very beginning.
A long time ago, right?
The foundation must be strong.
Yes.
The foundation must be strong. And once the foundation is strong, then everything else around begins to prosper. And grow.
Yes. And my relationship with Christ is stronger today. And I'm sure you can say the same. Our lives are just going in so many incredible directions, with the business, with our personally, with the kids. You know, we have our Sunday dinners that we've been talking about.
That's mandatory
forever.
In a Sicilian family, that's mandatory.
Yeah, that we get to do that, and that's amazing. That's beautiful.
All the kids now have their own individual rooms.
All the kids have their own rooms.
We got the 4 of them with us.
Yep, all 4 are back in the house.
And my younger brother, which is like my another son to us.
He's the other. He's the big child.
And my mother-in-law as well.
Yep.
Right, and we run a few different businesses.
Yep.
Right. I'm a pastor.
Yep.
You help walk women through their battles.
Through the Bible. Whatever they want to do. Al-Anon. I'm a part of a women's Bible study on Tuesdays that I absolutely love. I've been doing that for the past 2 years. And then honestly, 4 times a week, we're out in the community serving and supporting the people we work with. Yeah.
And in the midst of all of that, we got Miss Alora, which keeps us busy about 6-7 days a week.
The queen bee.
Yep. The boys, which are just
a blessing.
An absolute blessing.
Joy.
An absolute joy. Whatever we need around there. You remember when I woke up that in the middle of the night, it was like 5:30 in the morning, right? We had just gotten all the beds for the new home, and I walk in there and I see Kieran with a screwdriver putting the beds together. I said, "What are you doing?" Declan was over there falling asleep.
They were so determined.
What are you doing? But that's the blessing. That wasn't me as a kid.
Yeah.
And that's what we have in front of us today. And it's so important to always, remind ourselves, of that. There's stability for the past 7 years, right? Our lives have increased continuously, but with increase always comes challenges that we've got to work through, as well. But I just love giving that picture to our viewers to share with them that, man, there's a life out there beyond your wildest dreams that's ahead of you. All you got to do is submit to the process and be willing to take direction. And I carry this thing that's called a marriage concept into every aspect of my life, right? Loyalty and commitment is everything where I come from. And in our marriage, there is no option to leave. I'm committed to this marriage every single day, regardless of what we go through.
Right.
In my business partnerships, I am committed to those relationships.
Right.
To the friends that God has ordained and brought into my life, I'm committed to those relationships.
Yes.
And willing to have the difficult conversations that most people aren't willing to have.
Right.
As we wrap this up, my love, give one piece of advice that you have received along your journey that you feel would bless our listeners.
We talk about our life and how amazing it is, but you have to do the work. You've got to do the work. It's one of your famous sayings, nothing happens by osmosis, nothing just falls in your lap and appears. Where we've come, we've done a lot of work individually and as a couple. And you've got to do the work. You got to put in the work. And what does that look like? That looks like getting up and praying every morning. For me personally, getting up and praying every morning, choosing you every single day. You get a clean slate with me every single day, even when you're not acting like my favorite person, right? Yeah. I still choose you because that's what I've committed to. That's right. It takes work to do this. It's not
intentionality.
Yes, it's not a cakewalk. It's not just you wake up and your life is amazing. You have to walk it out, right? And you have to make sure that you're armored up spiritually. You're mentally prepared. Your health is, like we say, is wealth, right? Yeah. You're physically taking care of yourself. All those things matter. Yeah. I always tell people it's the Holy Trinity. Spiritually, mentally, physically, those things have to be in line with each other. Yeah. If one is out of line, something's going to be off. Yeah. So all three of those things together, make sure you got them intact, because that's your armor through the day. That's your that's going to keep you ready. Yeah. Keep you aligned and fighting those battles that we go through, right?
Yeah. A mind without the body, non-existent. A body without the spirit has no foundation.
Right.
All right. And for you men out there, remember that your wives are your canvas, so stop blaming them. Right? God gave you this thing that's called influence, and begin to utilize it. Utilize it within your home. Start walking in a manner worthy of the calling that you have received. Live a life of integrity, and the best demonstration is leading by example, not by speaking words, by really walking it out. And then my wife lets me know, right, if I'm not. But when you're submitted to the Spirit and you're living that intentional life, your wife will naturally come side by side, submit to you, and then the kids will follow along as well. And that's the order inside a home.
Yeah.
Christ, the man, the woman, and the children.
Yep.
We have to choose ourselves first and foremost all the time before the kids.
100%. 100%.
Give me a kiss, my love. Give me a kiss, Angel. I love you.
Love you. Oh, that's my phone.
Thank you, guys. If any of you out there are struggling or in need of help, please feel free to reach out to us at 877-587-1558.